Hi, my name is Pratibha Agarwal. I'm an immigration attorney. I am based right outside of Washington, D.C. in Arlington, Virginia, and our clients are all throughout the United States. That's because, for those of you that don't know, immigration is considered a federal practice, and that means that your lawyer can be located anywhere in the U.S. and we can represent you if we're the right fit for you. So the best thing for you to do if you'd like to work with us or if you have an immigration question that you want to direct to me is to call our office, which is 703-348-1663. That's the best way for you to reach us and schedule a consultation. So what we talk about today is not considered. I can't consider it legal advice because I can't really talk to you one-on-one. So nothing is confidential, nothing is privileged today. But if you want to ask me a question, just go ahead and type it into the chat, and I will do my best to answer that for you. We are streaming on both TikTok and on Facebook right now. If you lose us on one platform, feel free to jump on the other one. Our handle is Agarwal Immigration on both. So it's Agarwal Immigration on both platforms. Great. So we have a bunch of people here joining us. And so just type in your question and I'll do my best to answer it. And I'll also go over some questions that come up in my practice. And maybe that will be helpful to you guys too. All right. Again, if you're just joining, my name is Pratibha Agarwal. I'm an immigration lawyer. I'm based outside of Washington, D.C., but our clients are everywhere. And in terms of questions, we really handle all types of immigration. So we have business immigration cases on H-1Bs. Those registrations are going to be, the registration period is going to close soon. So if you have questions on H-1B registration, if you have questions on family-based immigration, humanitarian cases, I can hopefully answer them for you today. So go ahead and put them in, and I'd be happy to help as much as I can in this forum. Okay, and if you want to schedule a consultation, call our office. We're at 703-348-1663. All right, so hi, Carlette. Hi, Shafi. Hi, Cami. Hi, Empress. Empress. Hi, Anjana. Great. Hi, Khan. Hi, Anaya. Hi, Natasha. All right, and I don't see my Facebook. I don't know who is here on Facebook. If you're here, if you want to say hi, feel free to go ahead and say hi. So I'm going to wait for you to put your questions in, but while you guys are thinking of questions that you might want answered, hi, Shopath. While you guys are thinking of questions that you might want answered, I will go ahead and answer some questions that come up in my practice, okay? And so things that are helpful to my clients, and I hope, and the things that my clients ask me most often. Okay, so I'm going to start with one. So one of them that's, hi Shopit, one of them that it comes up often is if you want, let's say you're in a marriage that is very, very difficult, that you're having problems with your spouse. If you're married to a U.S. citizen or to a green card holder, and you're having problems with your spouse, you're having marriage issues with your spouse, and it's a lot of what we see, it's often triggered when the person asks their spouse to sponsor them for a green card, right? So things may be going well, and then you, or maybe someone you know is in this situation. You ask your spouse, can we get started on my papers? When do you want to get started on my papers? And sometimes we've seen that things kind of go downhill from there. So their spouse starts accusing them, for example, of trying to use them just for papers. Their spouse starts being derogatory and rude. The spouse threatens and fights then to start calling immigration. The spouse becomes more controlling. So if you or someone you know is in this situation, know that there are options for people in this situation. So if you're married to a U.S. citizen or to a green card holder, you can apply for your green card without your spouse, right? You can apply without your spouse based on the problems in your marriage. You do not need to suffer abuse, and it doesn't always have to be physical abuse. You don't have to suffer abuse to be able to apply for sorry, let me take that back. If you are being abused, you don't have to sit there in the situation waiting for your spouse to sponsor you, right? So if you're being abused, you have options. You can apply on your own without your spouse for a green card. So if we can help you, call us. We are at 703 348-1663. And what happens is once we apply, within 6 to 8 months, you would get a work permit, you would get work permit and travel authorization. And then in 2 to 2.5 years, you would get a green card. So this becomes very important for people that came, they crossed the border illegally, or people that maybe came on a tourist visa and have just overstayed that tourist visa. So it becomes more and more important for them because they can't really leave and come back, right? So they can't really leave the U.S. and come back easily because they are out of status, essentially, right? So if you or someone you know is in the situation, there are options for them to get a green card, and within 6 to 8 months of applying for this, based on the issues in your marriage, based on the problems with your spouse, within about 6 to 8 months after they apply, they will get what's called advanced parole. It's travel authorization, and that lets you leave the U.S., go back home and visit family, and come back in. Note, everybody's situation is different. So everyone's situation is different, and there may be reasons why we would recommend that you don't travel. But generally, if you don't have criminal issues or if you don't have other potential immigration issues, you should be okay generally to travel using that advanced parole authorization. So if you are interested in finding out more, if you or someone you know is married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder that will not sponsor them for a green card, they have options, right? 6 to 8 months, they would get a work permit, they would get travel authorization, and then in 2 to 2.5 years, they would have a green card and eventually, hopefully, citizenship as well. So call our office if we can help you. We are at 703-348-1663. I have a bunch of people here saying, let's see, with questions and comments. And again, go ahead and type yours in. Hi, Anaya. Hi, Raman. So Anaya is asking, how about someone who has a baby in the United States? Can they get a green card? It depends, right? It depends. So how old is your child? If your child is 21 or over, they are able to sponsor you, right? If your child is 21 or over, they are able to sponsor you. And then depending on your relationship with that child, maybe you can qualify in the way that I'm talking about right now, or your child can apply for you and you would process a waiver and go outside the country to do part of that green card application. If you entered illegally, that is. But if you entered legally, you may be able to do the whole thing here in the U.S. So call us if we can help you. We're at 703-348-1663. Hi, Beja. Hi, Vidya. Natasha says, I filed my I-360 and I-485 both together. My I-360 was approved. How long does my I-485 take? Natasha, congratulations. Congratulations on your I-360 being approved. So with your I-360 being approved, so again, an I-360, I don't know how you qualified. You can qualify in different ways, right? But for an I-360, let's say you qualified based on abuse, right? That's what an I-360 self-petition is. Let's say you qualified based on abuse, and you were a victim of abuse in a marriage to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder. So let's say you qualified that way. You get deferred action. That is what happens when an I-360 is approved. So deferred action means that Natasha can live here forever. She has permission in the U.S. to live here forever, and she can always have work authorization. And that usually happens about 1.5 years after you apply for this I-360 self-petition. But the I-485 is going to continue. So as long as she doesn't have any issues in terms of immigration or in terms of criminal history, likely she will get her I-485 green card approval as well. So that is at a 2 to 2.5 year time frame from the time you applied. So let's say about 1 year after the I-360 approval, you should be able to get your I-485. But remember, during this whole time, you can renew your work authorization. You can renew your travel authorization based on the pending I-485 application. So if you or someone you know is in this situation like Natasha, who may qualify for this, if they're married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, if they're out of status and their spouse is not sponsoring them, if they're in a difficult relationship, or if they had an illegal entry, we may be able to help them process their green card. Give us a call. We're at 703-348-1663. All right. Shopa is saying, I want to take my citizenship without my spouse. Could you tell me, how do I apply for citizenship? So remember, for your citizenship, you don't really need your spouse. Even if you got a green card based on marriage, you don't really need your spouse for your citizenship. So you could be divorced, even you could be separated. If there's questions about whether your marriage to this person that sponsored your green card was fraudulent, that's going to come up at your citizenship interview, right? So if you did something like that, which I do not recommend, don't do that. But you can, if you're married and you received a green card and you had issues with your spouse, you may not want to apply. You can easily apply for citizenship even if that marriage did not work out. So what you do is you file what's called the Form N-400. That's the citizenship application. You have to take a citizenship test. And the good news is we have reverted back to the old citizenship test. So it's 100 questions. 100 possible questions. You get 10 when you go in for the civics exam, and you have to get 6 correct. All right. So if you're already 5 years here, Shopit is saying he's here 5 years. If you're already 5 years here, then you should be able to apply for your citizenship. But again, you have to be a green card holder, right? So I'm assuming you're a green card holder. If you got it through marriage, then it's okay. You don't need to wait for your spouse to help you or do anything for citizenship. So as long as you're a green card holder, for Shopit Singh, he's been here 5 years. If you've been here as a green card holder for 5 years, you should qualify for citizenship, and you can apply for that directly. And you don't need, your spouse isn't necessarily involved in the citizenship application process. Okay, if we can help you with your citizenship application, call us. We're at 703-348-1663. Self-love says, I've overstayed and my husband is an LPR. I was told that I can't adjust my status until he is a citizen. I lost you there. Yeah, so in some instances, that's the case. But you may qualify to adjust your status here in the U.S. Through a self-petition, and that is really based on the state of your marriage, right? So you may qualify even if your husband is an LPR, based on your relationship. If there are any problems in the marriage, we may be able to use those problems to allow you to self-petition. So I'd be happy to see if you are eligible for this. If you are eligible, you would receive a work permit in about 6 to 8 months, and you would receive a green card in about 2 to 2.5 years. So that is certainly a possibility, but we would need to have a consultation so I can see if you are eligible. But there is a way to do this. If you're overstayed your visa and you're married to a green card holder, you may be able to qualify to receive a work permit in 6 to 8 months. You would receive a travel authorization also, so you could visit home in 6 to 8 months, and a green card in 2 to 2.5 years. All right? Call us if we can help. We're at 703-348-1663. Hi, Bathik. Hi, Sandeep. Hi, Pretty Vicky Cosmetics. All right. Hi, Chither. Arita says, hi, I'm trying to get my dad from Fiji and I'm a citizen. How do I do that? I'm from Alaska. Well, if you're from Alaska, if you're a U.S. citizen, you sponsor your dad. So there's 2 parts to this process. So how do you bring in a parent from abroad? So essentially, you can do what's called it's a petition here in the U.S. So you show that you're a U.S. citizen and that this person is your father. So you can do that through a birth certificate or DNA evidence if you need it. Once you do that and that gets approved, you can apply for your father's green card at the consulate abroad, and that would all be processed through the consulate abroad. It's a little bit of a complex process, but that's kind of essentially it. So the first part happens here in the U.S., the second part happens abroad. And so the process is taking, as far as I know, it's like 2 to 2.5 years right now. It takes it's complex. The second part is way more complex than the first part. So if we can help you, call us. We're at 703-348-1663. Let's see. Self-help says, thank you. You're welcome. Immigration updates. So Singh says, I'm a U.S. citizen and I want to apply for my parents. They're on a tourist visa. How long does it take? So you can potentially apply for them if they're here already on a tourist visa. You may be able to apply for their green card here. It takes about 1.5 to 2 years, I think, maybe a lot 2 years, given that some delays recently. So we can, if we can help with that, call us. We do this a lot. We're at 703-348-1663. What about marriage interview questions? Great. Sorry, excuse me. So for marriage interview questions, really what they are looking for is to see that your marriage is real, right? So there are a lot of different questions they can ask you. One thing I'm going to tell you to remember is things like your spouse's birth dates, your spouse's your anniversary, some things that you would know if you're in a relationship, right? So I would say try to remember if you're bad with dates or bad with names of people's parents or relatives or whatever, you want to know those things because that's something that people tend to know, obviously, when you're in a relationship with someone. So they'll ask you questions. I mean, it could be anything. So there's nothing that you really need to prep for, but they may ask you, what did you do last Valentine's Day? How did you come here together to the interview? Did you drive separately or did you drive together? I mean, it's really important to be honest about your relationship, but that's most likely if you are in a strong relationship with your spouse, you're going to know a lot of these answers already. Okay. Hi, Kayla. What is the timing process for a sibling? Prince Singh is asking. That for a sibling, it depends on the country that you are in. It depends on the country that you are from. So it's going to vary. If you're from India, I don't know it off the top of my head, but you can check the visa bulletin. It will tell you exactly how long it will take for siblings from your country. You have to be a U.S. citizen in order to sponsor a sibling. Shopit says, do you have an office in New York City? I do not have an office in New York City. Our office is located outside of Washington, D.C. in Arlington, Virginia, but we have lots of clients actually in New York and around New York City. We have clients in Washington State, in California, in Tennessee, in Texas. We really have clients all over the U.S., and that's because immigration is a federal practice. And that means that we can represent you no matter where you are located. So as long as I'm in good standing and I'm licensed in one state, I'm licensed in 2 states, DC and Maryland, which is, very close to each other. And I can represent clients anywhere in the U.S. on their immigration issues. So if I can help you, we do our consultation like this by Zoom, so we can talk. It would be one-on-one. I would ask you a lot of questions, and you would answer. You'd answer them. Bring your questions to me, and we would come up with a plan for how to achieve your goals. Right? Whether it's to extend your status, whether it's to get a green card, or get in some other kind of status if you're not in status already. Give us a call, and I'd be happy to set up a consultation for you. So it doesn't matter where you are located at all. And actually, even our local clients right now, because of the pandemic, we are meeting with them virtually like this through Zoom. And then some people prefer by phone, so I do that as well. So call our office and we can definitely try and help you. Khalil Ra says, hi, I'm from Utah. Great. Call us. It says, how long is it taking after you get your fingerprints? Just a few months. It should only be a few months, but I've seen some delays. Just a heads up. All right. So Hina says, after applying for an I-130, how long does immigration take to give you an answer that they received an I-130? Usually about 4 weeks or so. 4 weeks or so. Shopa says, do I need to hire someone for my citizenship? Do you know anyone who is in New York City? You don't need to hire anyone, really. I mean, I can help you, Shopa, if you want to call our office. Let me know, and I can definitely schedule a consultation for you. All right. Okay, I am going to wrap it up for today. Everyone have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you soon. Okay, and if you want to schedule a consult, call us. We're at 703-348-1663. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the weather. I think it's going to be warm around here. And I will see you soon. All right. Bye.